Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the week 3 video lecture for English essays. All right, I hope everybody's doing well and following along nicely in the course. This week, I'd like to discuss writing a thesis or thesis statements specifically. I'll talk about the difference between the two a little bit later. But keep in mind the direction this course is taking, right? This is week 3, and for the first 7 weeks, we're all about, gathering skills and concepts and considering them as we move forward to actually writing essays after the midterm. So remember, we have 2 essays to write. The first one will be an academic style essay. That will be our term essay, and that will take us maybe 6 weeks to write because we're going to follow a step-by-step writing process. And that's going to be a larger essay. But we do have another essay at the final exam, which will be more of a test style essay, and that will be a personal essay. So kind of a different form of essay, a different genre of essay. But it'll be helpful here if we move forward and dive a little bit deeper and consider about how to write effectively. Okay, whether we're writing an academic essay or a personal essay, all essays are going to have theses or a thesis statement. All right, and keep in mind what we studied in week 1 and week 2, because that knowledge affects how to write effective theses or theses. All right, so in week 1 we talked about the using appropriate language with a focus there on academic language. All right. Personal language, it's much wider and harder to really talk about generally because, personal language is personal. Just as we're all unique individuals, we all have our specific unique vocabularies and ways of communicating, just like our own speaking voices have unique sounds. We can say that our voice is unique in our own writing as well. Okay, even if it's academic or personal, but especially if it's personal. But for academic writing, we have some more kind of standard, conventional ways to communicate, all right, and choose language. So keep that in mind, all right, because how you choose your language is very important to writing an effective thesis, all right. And also, when we talk about the structure and form of an essay, like we did last week, right? We talked about introduction, the body, and conclusion. And we talked about what needs to be in the introduction and body and conclusion. And we know that a thesis should come towards the end of the introduction section of an essay. That's the standard form for an essay. So think about that, all right? And also when it comes to what we're writing, our first essay, the term essay, is going to be a persuasive academic essay. So we can help define the structure or how we want to communicate our main idea based on that form, a persuasive academic essay, for our first assignment beginning in week 8. All right. Now that's important too when we think about the larger concept of an essay, because there is a relationship. All right. As I said, the thesis is the main idea of an essay. That means everything that's in your essay is influenced by your thesis, right? So every decision you make about how to write it, what words to use, how to organize it, what evidence to give, that is all influenced by what is your main idea, what is your thesis, right? So there's a relationship there that you'll find between how you develop your essay, what's in the body section, and then obviously your thesis. There has to be that relationship there. And you got to think about your larger topic, your narrow thesis, and your development, okay? And of course, the language you use as well. All right, so everything we've talked about so far, what I'm trying to say is something you want to bring forward and consider today as we dive a little bit deeper and consider what is a thesis and how can we write an effective thesis statement. All right, as always, you have some notes to go along with this lecture for this week. And I encourage you right now, you should have your notes there. You can listen to me and follow along with the notes. And you can also make your own notes as well. Very important to capture your own thinking as you consider these ideas and concepts. All right, we already know what a thesis is. We talked about it last week. We know the thesis is the main idea of an essay. And we know that it comes in the introduction of an essay, right? We need to, in the introduction, introduce the topic and get the reader's attention. But then we need to narrow the topic and give any necessary background information. And then typically we end the introduction with that specific thesis statement. All right. Now, what's the difference between a thesis and a thesis statement? It's a very tiny difference. All right. A thesis is an idea. All right. But ideas, as we know, can exist just in our minds, right? Out in the world, just as ideas. But a thesis statement specifically is when you capture that idea, capture that thinking, and put it into a grammatically complete sentence or two or possibly three. Okay, a thesis statement doesn't have to be just one sentence. All right, but it's helpful if you can contain that idea into just one sentence. Okay, and that would be your thesis statement. All right. So as I said, no matter what you're writing, whether it's a personal essay or an academic essay or any kind of essay in between or up or down or whatever, a reader is going to expect to find a thesis in your introduction. Okay? Whether it's written in a sentence form as a thesis statement, or there are some essays you might read and you might not be able to identify exactly one sentence as a thesis statement. Okay, you might see that in more kind of developed professional writing. But for you and your level of development, I strongly recommend that you do include a straightforward thesis statement, okay? A sentence or possibly two sentences that captures your main idea in a sentence or two. All right. This is important and necessary, and I'll be looking for that, as will your classmates, when we read and grade your essays. All right. So what are some things to think about when considering an effective thesis statement? All right. Well, we need to remember that it narrows your broader topic to a single idea. Okay? Remember the difference between a topic and a thesis. A topic is just a broad kind of concept. All right? Like you might say, geography is a topic. It's not an idea. It's a collection. It's a study of many ideas. Okay, so you might write a an essay on geography or on history. That's a topic, but that's not good enough just to say, right? I'm writing about history. Like, okay, great. We need to get more specific. So you need to narrow your broader topic to a single idea. All right, and in doing so, in narrowing your idea, okay, line number 2 here, your thesis statement, your main idea, should assert something about your broader topic, conveying your purpose for writing and your opinion about that topic. All right. So keep in mind that word, all right, how I'm using language here. To assert something means to say something strongly, okay, assertively, with force and conviction. Okay, you need to say something convincingly about your topic, and in doing so, you're going to convey your purpose, give the reason for why. Okay, so a thesis is really, again, giving you the purpose for the paper. As I said, it's the main idea. Everything in your essay, the thesis is the reason why that exists in your essay. Okay, it influences all the decisions we make about our essays. So it's going to assert something, say something strongly, it's going to convey your purpose, and of course it's going to give your opinion on the topic. Now be careful with the word opinion, all right? Because I'm asking you to write an academic style essay as your term essay, and then your second essay will be a personal essay. And the idea of opinion here, you might say, but well, opinion is always subjective. Okay, that's true. But even when we write an academic essay, and in doing so, writing an academic essay, we want to be objective. Okay, so even though we're being objective, our thesis is still our opinion. But our opinion for an academic essay is based on carefully researched, carefully thought about, carefully analyzed material. So when we look at it, we're not taking all our likes and dislikes. We're avoiding that and looking at facts and presenting our opinion as it has been formed without our personal bias, okay? Without our likes influencing us too much. We're looking at the facts and the data like a judge or like an investigator and just trying to find the facts and presenting those facts sincerely, intellectually, in an honest way as the facts or the evidence tells us. So we have to have good information, and we have to use academic language for an academic essay to present our opinion objectively. All right, so that's one of the skills you'd be looking to use in terms of language and using language effectively for your first assignment, the academic essay. When it comes to your personal essay, again, there are a lot less rules, and you can and should insert yourself, possibly your biases and your opinions. There's more space or room, or it's allowed in that kind of essay, right? So that's why in this class we do both an academic style essay and a personal essay. It gives us a good kind of juxtaposition or difference in language. It gives us practice in using language in different ways, even though the structure and form of the essay is still relatively the same, in that it has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. But the actual thesis and how we write it, and the relationship between the thesis and the development, the explanation, the examples, the evidence we use, the relationship is going to be different in an academic essay and in a personal essay there. So those are things we want to pay attention to, differences we want to pay attention to in this course. So keep an open mind and an open eye for those differences as you work on the assignments of this course. All right, so um, that's important as well. All right, the third point for writing a good thesis statement, an effective thesis statement, is that it may introduce the main points of your body in the order that they appear. All right, so this is definitely more common in academic essays than it is in personal essays, but it can be used for both, and I do recommend it for both. All right, so your thesis statement, right, the sentence which contains your main idea and asserts something about your topic, should also include the main points that are going to come in the body. All right, so for example, if you write a thesis such as Korean universities need to lower tuitions to provide more equitable access to education. All right, that's a thesis statement. That's seemingly appropriately narrow, but I might ask you to add to that. Okay, what is your evidence? Okay, introduce that in your thesis statement in the introduction. You're going to prove it and give statistics and data and explanation in the body, but in the thesis statement, you might want to say, right, Korean universities must lower their tuition to make education more equitable for Korean students because of X, Y, and Z. All right, or they must do it in these ways, X, Y, and Z. So in your body, right, body paragraph, you're going to see body paragraph 1 will be X, body paragraph 2 will be Y, body paragraph 3 will be Z. Okay, X, Y, Z, in the order they appear. If you do that in your thesis statement in the introduction section of your essay, by providing those points, it's kind of like an overview. It prepares the reader for your overall argument and how you're going to develop it. So it makes understanding your main point a little bit easier. Okay, and again, the reader's prepared for what will come in the body. So the coherence, the understandability of your main idea is improved. Therefore, the overall understanding of your essay hopefully will be improved too. So it's always good advice. And again, it's highly recommended, especially in academic essays. Okay, so those are three ways to write an effective thesis statement and how it can help your reader. All right, so it narrows a big, broad topic to a more specific single idea. It asserts something about your topic, giving the purpose and opinion of it. And it also kind of introduces and prepares the reader for what comes in the body. All right, now keep in mind in this course that we do have those 2 essays that we'll write, as I talked about. The first one, the term essay, is going to be a persuasive academic essay. The second one, the test final exam essay, will be a personal essay, a slightly shorter one. And I do recommend, even though the first 7 weeks we're going to be studying important skills and concepts, but you should begin thinking about a topic, all right, for your term essay, because you will have to choose your topic and develop an effective thesis statement for that topic. So it's never too early to begin, and it's never too early to begin thinking about a thesis, all right? In the first term essay, we're going to follow a writing process, and that's going to take us about 6 weeks, or maybe you've even begun thinking about it now. But no matter where you are in the writing process, it is a good idea to have a working thesis. A working thesis is just a thesis that is not your final thesis. because you are working. You are in the process of writing an essay. So that means, right, if you're just researching now, thinking about a topic, okay, what is your first opinion about your topic? What is it you want to say about your topic? Okay, ask yourself that. That's your whatever your answer is. That could be a possible thesis, but that thesis might change. But have an idea. That is a working thesis. All right, and that you'll have a working thesis for the whole process until finally the day that you deliver your final draft to me. Okay, so you're always going to have an idea about what your main idea is. It might stay the same, it might change a lot, it might change a little, it might change one way and go all the way back to your old way. Who knows? Be open to how your thesis statement might change. But my point here is always have an idea about what your main idea is. Keep a working thesis and you can keep direction, right? Keeping direction, moving forward, helps you stay on topic, helps you to develop your ideas and explore your ideas. It just keeps you moving forward in the process, okay? All right, so in your notes, 2 ways to look at how to generate or develop a thesis statement. They're very similar, but I do want to highlight some of the aspects here because I'm going to give you the opportunity for both of these options in this course. All right. In your term essay, the longer essay that we'll follow the process for after the midterm, there is no assigned topic. You must choose a topic and you must develop a thesis on your own. But in the final exam, I will give you a list of topics and you will choose one of those topics to write your essay on. So let's talk about how to develop a thesis, how to come up with a working thesis and get through to a final thesis as well. All right, so in your notes it says how to generate a thesis statement if the topic is assigned. All right, that for you, that will be your personal essay, your second essay, your final exam. I will assign you a topic or a list of topics, and you must choose there. All right, so in that case, luckily, generating a thesis is much easier because there's less thinking to do, right? I have decided, all right, which topics you can choose from. So I have narrowed your choice. But that a topic is not a thesis. A topic is broad and general. You need to, again, narrow to a more assertive single idea that conveys your purpose and your opinion, right? But if you're reading through the list of topics, the easiest way to get started, if not fully develop a thesis, is to take a topic and just change it into a question, right? So if I just give you a one-word topic so broad, okay? If I talk about, here's your topic, housing, okay? So that's a topic, housing. How can you come up with a statement, a thesis statement? How can you come up with an idea, all right? A single idea. How can that idea be narrow and assertive and give a purpose and an opinion, all right? You need to push yourself to make it narrow. All right, so housing. Start with a question, okay? What kind of housing exists, right? Then you can start to narrow. There's apartments, townhouses, single dwelling, all right? Whatever the various kinds of housings there are, right? That can give you different directions to go. Or you can talk about renting houses versus buying houses, right? Or housing. That can give you different directions to explore, right? You can ask yourself, what kind of housing do I like? All right. Now, keep in mind here, you have to also remember what it is you're writing, why you're writing, who you're writing to. So, for example, if your topic is housing, but that's a topic for a personal essay, you could say, I like this housing. And that could be appropriate because it's personal. You can talk about I. You could talk about your experiences, and you can talk about your likes or dislikes. All right, and that would be appropriate for a personal essay. But if you're going to write an academic essay about housing, and you ask the question, well, what kind of housing do I like? That question might be helpful to move you on in your research, but an academic essay is not going to be appropriate for you to talk about your personal experience and your likes and dislikes. Okay, that's not an appropriate topic. So it might help you to find your own interest, but it's not going to be effective in developing an effective essay for an academic kind of writing, an academic essay. So keep in mind how you want to do that. But keep asking questions, and you will find different avenues, different roads, different pathways to research and to think and to gather information and to come up with a clearer, more specific main idea. All right, a thesis statement. All right, so that's how you want to generate it if you have a topic. Make that topic a question and follow the different answers you have to come to something you want to say, an appropriate thesis statement based on what it is you're writing. All right, now, if the topic is not assigned, you're going to follow a very similar process, but you have, again, less limitations. And some people might say, oh, no topic, that's great, I can write about anything. But sometimes that lack of limitations, that you might get choice paralysis. You have too many options. So you might have that problem of choice. Now, I recommend the same kind of process. Just begin with whatever interests you, all right? And then begin asking questions. So whatever interests you, I would probably recommend that you look at, especially for the term essay, look at your major of study. If you're an English major, think about things you studied in English literature and language that you know enough about, that you are interested in, or that you have developed some ideas on already. That would be a good pathway for you to go through. It's not necessary, but it's a good recommendation. All right. But again, keep in mind that in the term essay, you will be writing an academic essay. So follow that more academic path, right? The objective path, consideration of the studies that you want to take. And the notes here, I don't need to get into it with you here. If you follow the kind of notes, they'll help you kind of work you through this process of developing from a larger topic to a more assertive thesis statement, right? One that is appropriately narrow and says something clearly and strongly. All right, so then that really leads us to the next point here, which is you've all taken the course to try and develop your skills. So obviously there's some development that is necessary based on whatever experience you have writing in the past in writing essays. We might be at different levels of understanding. That's okay, but no matter what, we need to consider how to write an effective thesis statement. And effective means strong, assertive, clear, precise. single idea. So there's a little exercise at the end of this writing that is going to try and help you to improve on weak thesis statements so that they can be strong thesis statements. All right. So at the end of the notes, you'll see exercise here. All right. And what I want you to do is try to be able to identify weak thesis statements. And to do that, you will have to apply your knowledge of language and how to use language effectively, because that's so important when you're writing thesis statements, whether it is an academic thesis statement for an academic essay or a thesis statement for a personal essay. Again, keep in mind what you're writing, why you're writing, who you're writing it to. That should help to influence how you say something and how you structure it for a personal essay or for an academic essay, and any essay in between. Okay, there's many little changes that we can make. Okay, but generally, how can we decide what is an effective essay? An effective thesis statement, right? A weak thesis statement is to be avoided. And here are 5 things to pay attention to avoid writing a weak thesis statement. All right, so a weak thesis statement might have the problem that it makes no claim. Okay, your thesis statement is weak because it makes no claim. Okay, that means it does not assert something. Okay, it doesn't say something strongly and clearly. It doesn't give its purpose, all right, or its reason for writing. So, for example, you might write, if it's your academic essay, this essay deals with Korea's electronic vehicle market. Okay, so it's a little bit specific. We're talking about one country, Korea. We're talking about the electronic vehicle market, right, which is emerging now. Seems interesting. But what are you saying? You're saying nothing. You're saying this essay talks about something. Okay, that's not interesting. It doesn't say anything. It's not an opinion. It's not something I say yes or no or disagree or agree with. Okay, so it's just blah. Okay, it's too general, too vague. It does not assert something. Therefore, it is weak. So you want to improve that. Say something. Okay. All right, number 2, for the possible problem of having a weak thesis statement, okay, that is your thesis statement may be something that is obviously true or just a statement of fact, all right? For example, you might say kimchi is the representative food of Korea, all right? In this case, it's not really controversial. There's not much you can say against that. You might have wonderful development for your body that talks about, how much kimchi is consumed in Korea. You might talk about how the science and biology and chemistry of kimchi. You might go into that. You might talk about the influence that kimchi has had on global cuisine in representing its country of origin as well. Or you might talk about its origin, its history as well. But just to say as a thesis, kimchi is the representative food of Korea, doesn't say anything. It's not interesting. It's just obviously true. All right. So it doesn't really encourage any interesting discussion or development of knowledge, especially if you're writing in our first essay, kind of an academic essay about our topic. All right, number 3, somewhat similar in terms of being weak. Okay, maybe your thesis statement is weak because it just restates conventional wisdom. All right, so something that everybody knows and agrees with already, right, in terms of wisdom. So maybe you choose to talk about the topic of sleep, and you say something, right, as an opinion. You might say, keeping a strict sleep schedule provides great benefits to one's health and well-being. Okay, so that does say something, but it's not controversial, and it's not something that people would really argue against. So it just doesn't lend itself to be a good. You could say things about the topic of sleep hygiene or sleep health or good sleeping habits, right? But this, as a thesis, is to say, keeping a good sleeping schedule is healthy. I think everybody knows that already. So you're not asserting something interesting. There's no reason for this essay, right? Because it's not controversial and it's not new knowledge. Okay, it's not fresh or creative. So it's a weak thesis statement, and you probably want to write a better essay that says something more interesting. So don't restate conventional wisdom in your thesis. All right. Number 4. All right. You might have a weak thesis statement if your thesis is offering personal conviction as the basis for the claim. Right. This is particularly for academic essays, and this is just kind of a warning. Even though we're going to be writing personal essays later for your academic essay, your term essay, your first essay, do not use your personal conviction, your opinions and beliefs and likes and dislikes to assert something. All right? In that academic essay, you want to be objective, you want to be intellectually honest. So your opinion should be formed based on your research, which you're gathering knowledge and looking at it, like a disinterested viewer, like a judge or a police investigator, okay, a scientist. Don't be influenced by your own biases, likes, dislikes, as well. Take the knowledge you get from an objective point of view. All right, and the last one here, a possible cause for a weak thesis statement is that you make an overly broad claim. All right, so remember what we talked about with the difference between topic and thesis. Topics are broad and general, but for an effective essay, we need an effective thesis, which means we need to narrow to a single idea our topic to a thesis statement here. So can you get from a large topic to that single idea that is assertive of your opinion and purpose? All right. Okay, so again, this is a large, broader discussion that does take time and practice to really improve at. But to help you improve, I've provided a little exercise for this week, almost like a little quiz. And in the end of your notes, you will see 5 thesis statements. They are all considered weak thesis statements. Now, this exercise is a little bit difficult because you don't have the whole essay to really judge the thesis and the evidence in the body. You don't have that to really kind of give you the proper context to understand these thesis statements. But it is just an exercise, and let's recognize that these 5 sentences here are in fact weak thesis statements. So again, for the first 7 weeks, we're talking about gaining knowledge, skills, and concepts and applying them. So what I want you to do is take the knowledge of what is a good, effective, assertive thesis statement and apply that to this. Try to improve these 5 thesis statements. So first, you're going to identify what's their problem. Do they make an overly broad claim? Do they restate conventional wisdom? Or do they make no claim at all? Is it just a general statement? All right. So then think about it. If you were writing this thesis statement, or if you were an editor, how can you improve it to make it effective, strong, clearer, narrow, assertive? Okay. Identify the problem and try to rewrite the sentence. So again, think about what we have talked about today, but also apply the kind of knowledge that you learned in week 1, where we talked about using language effectively. Okay, now you might not be able to do this very well, or you might not have confidence in your answers, but that's not important here. We're trying to get better. So this is an exercise. We're just trying to get better. And through trying and failing or succeeding, we will get better and we will get stronger if we apply that knowledge more and more and gain experience. So just do your best. There are no perfect answers either way, all right? But there are better answers. So again, try to do your best. And next week, I will provide you with possible solutions, possible answers to make stronger, more assertive thesis statements, and then I'll supply them to you. Like I said, you might have a different kind of solution to what makes an assertive thesis statement. It doesn't have to be the same, exactly the same as the one I give you, but you can kind of compare and hopefully understand a little bit better, or recognize especially why a thesis statement is weak and how to make it stronger. Okay? That's all we want to accomplish in these first 7 weeks. So you do not need to submit this. It's not part of your grade. It's an exercise to help you improve and apply your knowledge. So good luck with that exercise. I will provide you with some answers next week. Until then, I hope you found this video helpful. And as always, if you have any questions whatsoever about this video, previous videos, or future videos, or anything in this course, don't be shy about asking. I'd be happy to try and improve your learning. Thank you very much.